Much love and peace to all watching and or listening to Candid Stories of My Soul with myself as the host, Raquel Shelby. From the moment we take our first breath and every experience that follows builds us up and creates the individuals we are today. In life, we will experience both the good and the bad because in order for balance to exist, both must coexist. There cannot be good without bad, nor can there be chaos without peace. The Creator is the author of all of it. Whether we believe in a God source or not, He is within us all. Source is within us and is present at all times just as much as our DNA. You will get to audibly witness many journeys of individuals as they are living, breathing, and ever growing documentaries in the flesh. Many will attest how the Creator was there, and many of these accounts will be mind blowing. Today, I have the phenomenal musician and vocal coach, Richard Willis. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Raquel, for having me on today. It's truly a pleasure.
Oh, most definitely.
Good to see you.
So, introduce yourself, and we are going to go ahead and come right back.
Well, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. My name is Rich Willis. I reside in Detroit. I'm a local musician here, an artist. Um, I've had the opportunity to work with many different people in this genre of musical entertainment. And I've known Raquel for quite a few years, actually, when she was a little girl about 14, 15 years old. I used to be a piano teacher. So that's how we connect. And that's when thank her for reaching out and finding me after all these years. Like I say, I'm a local musician. I have my company's called Raw Music LLC, and I provide a few different musical services like sound technician, I do DJing, do compositions, do tracks, also performer, music instructor, here in the Detroit area. Um, I'm from I'm alumni of Mumford High School, class 1979, yay Mustangs. And yeah, I mean, interesting. I'm graduating from high school in 79. We back then we had real instruments, then rap came along after the instruments died out because they took all the instruments out of schools. Us being the creative people that we are, we just came up with ways of creating music anyway. So that's how hip hop was born. So, I come from that era when they still had instruments in the schools. And, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have social media, we didn't have internet to watch. Hey, a 19-inch color TV was an absolute luxury back then. And you didn't have to go to security checks at the airport, things like that. So it's a totally different world now than when it was then. And I've been able to, experience a lot of the changes that have taken place, and I guess I'm here to just share some of those today and where I'm at now and possibly, what I myself maybe foresee in the future, you know, uh,
Yeah.
what I hope to see in the future. Mhm.
All right. Well, we're going to get into the thick of it. Stay with us, and we will be right back. All right, and we're back. Yeah, so make sure you like this video. Make sure you comment. When you like the video, it goes up in the algorithm. Please let us know where you're watching from. A comment goes a long way. And please share this. You never know who might be inspired or touched by the stories that we are sharing in this podcast. So please do us a favor, show us a love. If you could do all three, that would be even better. But give us one of them, okay? Thank you so much. And we're going to get back to Mr. Willis here. So, what are your beliefs? Like what are your religious or spiritual beliefs?
Religious or spiritual beliefs? Well, I definitely, have a relationship with God. I was raised, as far as religious background goes, I was raised in Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Mm,
I've since I don't really attend the hall these days, um, but I remember where I was raised, as it says in the Bible, you raise a child in the way he should go, and you should never, leave that path. But I do find spirituality in all the different religions in terms of whether it be Baptist or Methodist or, Catholic, whatever. My thing is, whatever God we worship, you know, each deity brings a certain message, and I think the main thing is to get the message. You
Yes.
know, so not it's even more so important than the messenger. The message. But my spiritual beliefs, I try to keep it simple. I have a musical group we call the Chillin' Circuit, and I just wanted to say that again: the Chillin' Circuit,
Okay.
not the Chitlin' Circuit. See? Yeah, they had me on TV once, and they were announcing us as the Chitlin' Circuit. I was like, oh no,
Oh, no.
Chillin' Circuit. That's another story that goes back in our history. Chillin' Circuit was a very important part of Black history, Black musical history. That's when during the times of segregation when we couldn't perform or eat at certain white establishments. So we had what was called the Chitlin' Circuit, where there would be certain people who would provide meals for the musicians, the Black musicians, and they usually would have chitlins on the menu. So that's they just kind of got that name. But anyway, the name of my group is the Chillin' Circuit, not the Chillin' Circuit. And
Okay.
yeah, my motto with that group is be blessed, don't stress, get your rest, start no mess, do your best, pass the test, and then
Okay.
just chill. You know, so that's a model that I use as far as my spiritual guidance, and direction. And I also just like to keep it simple, because there's just so much going on in the world today. We can just turn on the news and see just a variety of things, whether just you know, unrest, wars and the virus and just people on planes, erupting in violence and things like this, and it's just like there's just so much that we see every day. Um, I just try to just keep my life simple,
Mhm.
and that's that's my belief spiritually is that I have to uh, do that for my own peace of mind. I look at the rest of the world like we got this pandemic going on now, and I hear a lot about getting the vaccine and all, and you know I think that's good. People if they get the vaccine, but it's a matter of choice, But I think what we're overlooking is that people are not they're not taking care of themselves. You get a vaccine, but if you're not eating right, you're not getting your rest, you're not exercising,
Mhm.
then you're still out of balance. And I think one of the things you were just mentioning in your introduction there was talking about balance,
Mhm.
and that's what's key, so we all have to look within. We
Yes.
all look within, and then be involved in our own growth and development. You know, and we have to teach our children these things too. You know, they got the big deal now is uh, critical race theory. That's one of the things I'm hearing every day on the news now, and well, not to teach children that, but I think it's not so much to teach children what to think, but how to think. They keep mentioning that word. Sooner or later, they're going to start getting it, and they're going to be curious enough themselves to find out what truth is. You know, and I think that's what's important is to teach them how to think. You know,
Yeah.
you know.
Definitely. Definitely.
Mhm.
So let's travel a little back. So what made you really want to be in music? Like what was the driving force?
Well, I think when I look back, my first musical experience was back maybe like 5 years old, and I guess it could be kind of it's not really tragic story, but it was intense. Here I'm 5 years old in kindergarten, And I remember one day going to the piano. There was a piano in our room, one of those big, tall, upright pianos. And I
Mm.
went to keys, and I just plunked a couple of the keys. I never forget the little teacher in the room. She saw me, and for whatever reason, she grabbed me up and took me in the back. Pulled my pants down and just spanked my bare behind, and told me, "Don't you ever touch that piano again."
Oh,
You know,
wow.
and what why I'm mentioning that is that it wasn't until like years later, I had kind of blocked that out, I guess. And then one day I was on my way to an engagement I was playing at, and it just came back to me in a flash, like I could just see it all vividly, you
Wow.
know. And it hit me so hard. It's one of those, I guess, one of those spiritual things, I don't know, epiphany or whatever. But I
Yeah.
had to pull over because that was really profound. I had actually forgotten about that. But when you ask me
Okay.
what got me into music, that was my first experience, you
Right.
know, with an instrument, and so after a few years passed, I think my dad had bought my mom a piano for their anniversary. I think it was like 1970. I was 9 years old. And
Okay.
that's when I had really just started, just experimenting, with the piano, just playing on it. I was making up little songs and things. And, my mother could see that I had, you know, kind of a little gift that, just coming up with things and playing. I had a good ear for what I was doing. Uh, and so she got me piano lessons when I was 12 years old, you know. And I had taken piano lessons from, a lady in the neighborhood, Miss Payne. I call her Sister Payne. And she taught me piano for about 5, 6 years. Then I moved on. I had a couple of different, piano teachers, mentors, along the way. But yeah, I had a desire, you know, I could always hear music. And so I had a desire to play. I didn't have anybody like, I wasn't from a really musical family, my immediate family. Now, my grandfather, who died before I was even born, um, his name was Harold Wallace. He was a local musician here in Detroit, and he did a lot of things with big bands. He worked with a few popular groups back in the 40s and 50s. And, my mom and my uncles, her brothers would say that, yeah, I got the gift from him because he was that kind of musician and he had the desire to play like that.
Okay.
So I was thinking, well, maybe it just, skipped a generation. And so, I inherited that interest, that gift to play. So that's where, in my early days, that's where I, you know, actually started. When I got to about, I think it was about 17, maybe, I think it was around 1977, 78, 78. I think it was my first gig I had. I played for a church banquet with the band that I was playing for. That was my first paid gig. I think we made like $25. And that was just like a big deal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's like been ever since. So I make a joke about it, tell people, I've been a musician, I've been playing for like 40 plus years, and I'm only 35.
So music in a way, is it like it's kind of like your ministry in a way.
Definitely is my ministry. Hmm.
Okay. Okay. And do you play any other instruments or
I play guitar. I play a little guitar, but I'm
okay.
more of a pianist. You know, uh, I guess I just never ventured out much into the other instruments. You know, like
Okay.
a lot of musicians can play multiple instruments, and not saying that I can't, but I just never really ventured out, into any other instrument other than piano, and that's worked out kind of favorably because, now you have technology that you have keyboards that can imitate the sounds of all the different instruments.
Yeah.
So when I do like I do projects for you know, different people that want me to put down tracks for them, and they want me to do the whole, gamut of musical instruments, whether it be piano, drums, bass, you know, um, guitar, things like that, horn, strings, then I have them all at my fingertips on a keyboard, you know. So in that way, it's an advantage. But to just say I play those other instruments, no, it's just piano.
Okay. Okay, that's awesome. And it's good. I mean, you're excellent at the piano. And like you said, the machine can do the rest. So, you know,
Yeah, there's nothing like sitting down at a baby grand and just playing. You know, I love to. I remember a few times when I was playing it, and it's like um, we had serious technical difficulties where no keyboards worked. No anything that was plugged in, it didn't work. And it was like there happened to be a piano, so I could keep it moving. I just sit down at the piano and just play. You
yeah,
know, so yeah, it makes a big difference. The technology is wonderful. That's another thing that I see now. There's just so much automation. And I try to stay connected to the human side of what I do because, the technology is just like robots to replace us in the workplace,
right.
you know, whether it be in the automobile plant, whether it be, I don't know, at the grocery store. I go to the Meijer store the other day, and most of their checkout is self checkout, so that's all automation. I like to go to a store, and then you see 20 or 30 cashiers aisles, and they're all closed. They might have one or two cashiers open, but the rest is all self checkout. So that's
Yeah,
technology taking over, and people think it's convenient. Yeah, it's convenient, but hey, I like to go and talk to a person, you know, even
mhm,
if I don't get along with that person. My thing is, hey, they got a job, and I can
right.
appreciate that enough to say, hey, I want to go to a real cashier, you know. So it's the same with technology in music, because there's a lot of convenience, just like I said, with everything else, our communication, computers like we're on now, all these things are wonderful, but it's a good thing to just be able to just communicate, with
Hmm.
people one on one. I had an incident where I was talking to a nephew of mine. I hadn't seen him in a while, and I was like, "Hey, nephew, man, I haven't seen you in a little while. You need to come on through, man. I need to see you face to face." And his response to me was, "Okay, well, you want to Skype?" That was his response. That was his version of face to face.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of that tickled me. But yeah, getting back to actually playing, it's a big deal to me to be able to actually do it and to encourage real musicianship. You know, uh, like there's not enough of that to me, uh, but you know, we keep working at it. There's a lot of musicians out here, but to me, there needs to be more music in the schools because we know when that was taken out of the schools, you know,
Hmm.
the people that did that know the advantages of music and learning the musical instrument. You know, because then you hear it all the time. How much how it builds your IQ, and it helps you in other areas of your life just to learn an instrument. So
Hmm.
um, yeah. Now you see it in other schools, but you don't see it in our schools and urban schools, as much.
Of
There's a
course.
few, but it should be something that's essential in every school, to have instrumental music, vocal music, whatever, to as part of the curriculum.
Yes, I think what you're saying is very important, and it's actually brings to light some of the things that I'm trying to bring to light, even within this show. It's no secret that it seems that people of color, African Americans primarily, and other people of color, are supposed to be part of the program. They want us in the program, not out of the program. They want us connected in the matrix, not to break from it. So, when you have things like that really exercise your mind and makes it fire off in different ways than it would just looking at a textbook and sitting in a classroom, that becomes problematic when you need programmable people, when you need people to just do and not think. So if we could be machines, that's probably where they're trying to go and And because we are still human, here we are ushering in more machines because we need things to do as they're told. And I think it's very important that we realize that your individuality and thinking is cool. That's what we need. We need those that are innovators and creators and to think outside the box and give others a nudge. Hey, do you see what's going on here? Hey, we need to go this direction. And that's what they're trying to avoid because the more we use our brains, the less we are being controlled. And us being controlled is for business. It's good for business. It's good for consumership. It's good for a lot of things. So, um, but back to the story you were talking about, your first occurrence with music. Mine is kind of the same in a way where I didn't, I wasn't reprimanded, but we had a keyboard in our front room. And I went to just like play on it like kids do. You know what I'm saying? It's this thing. It makes sound, whatever. And my dad thought that, oh, she's interested in piano. I was just a kid playing on the piano. That really wasn't a dream of mine. But because of the way that things were, the dynamic between the child and the parent back then. See, things are changing and we're evolving to where now we're understanding that we have to have order, but we have to have balance and allowing the kid to be themselves and really understanding their interests instead of trying to put them where you think they should be or what you think or live vicarious vicariously through them. I'm sorry, what's going on with my mouth today? Um, we've gotten a little different, but back then it was like, you gonna do what your parents say you gonna do. So I began taking lessons myself under William Duncan. I haven't seen him in years. And then after him, I don't know why those lessons ended. I can't tell why. And Duncan was brilliant himself. He was different, but he was brilliant. And then I started taking lessons with you. And, over there on Greenfield and Lincoln, at which was it was you said it was the Wonderland?
Wonderland music, yeah.
Wonderland Music, yes, and then, we began taking lessons at my home, and then just one day, I just didn't wanna practice really, I didn't really wanna do it, and I remember my dad was saying, like, "If you don't wanna do this." Now, mind you, I it has been many ways I let him know I didn't wanna do it, right? But he was like, "If you don't wanna do this anymore, I'm not gonna waste my money for something you wanna do." I said, "Okay, well, I don't wanna do it." And then we ended it there. Um, Now as far as, Rich was always very interesting to talk to. He always came around with some provoking thought. It was never a lot of times he would come, do the lesson, and then after the lesson, we would have discussion. Generally, it'll be, my mom, he, and I would get into some type of discussion. And so, it was all good. He's definitely one of those thinkers. So and I enjoy that. I enjoy thoughtful, insightful conversation. So, outside of myself, you have had other students. Can you tell us like who are the students that really stick out to you and why they stick out to you and how they may have changed your life? And then after that, we're going to get into your personal struggles and stuff like that.
Okay. As a teacher of music, and I mainly was teaching piano like privately. Um, in my experience, I found out that it was the students who I saw that didn't really have or seemed to not really have an interest, and there was a couple that comes to mind that really excelled. I had two young men that I was teaching. One was named Torrance. I can't
Okay.
remember Torrance's last name. I think his last name was Green, but yeah, it was Torrance, and then there was another young man, Austin Dunson. Uh, they really, they would just take the lessons, and they were kind of like, like you're saying, so you didn't really have the interest in it, and that's what they seem to, be the same way. And surprisingly, these two young men have really excelled in their own musical careers. Uh, yeah, and I mean, they travel over the world.
Oh
You know,
wow.
yeah, I ran into what's the first young man I just mentioned, Torrance. I ran into him. Matter of fact, I was doing a thing at one of the museums. I think it was either Afro American Museum. It was either Afro American Museum or the DIA, and I recognized the name because I was getting ready to leave, and I heard him announce he was going to perform, and yeah, I mean he was really good, So I'm like, oh well, he really stuck with this. So I feel like I had a part in that. So I've had a few students that really took off. I think we were talking about a young lady, Kristen, that she went on to excel in music. She has a music degree. She does a lot of things in the church community. She has a big praise and worship group. You know, so yeah, I've worked with quite a few people, and I've also worked with some celebrities too. You know,
Okay.
you know, I well, as you and I both know, I work with Aaliyah. You know,
Mm.
uh, and she's known worldwide. So what many people don't know is that I was the first person to work with her. You know, not R. Kelly, not DMX, not Missy Elliott, none of those people. I was there when she very first started. She was about, I'd say about 7 years old,
Okay.
and her mom and I, we worked together doing some play productions that her brother, who's Leah's uncle, Barry Hankerson, had produced. And yeah, we had ran into each other one day at which was then Northland Mall. And we were talking, and she said she had a daughter that she wanted to get into, singing. And she brought her by, and we talked, and, you know, this kid just had promise right off the bat, right out the door. She was, we were in the basement there. We were doing some jazz standards, and I was playing, she was singing. Now, my mom, she was the one that uh, at the time, she never had much interest. I had different musicians over the house all the time,
Hmm.
and she would be like, "Oh, it's just another musician, another band member, another singer," and they would just come over, we play and do our thing, and that was pretty much it. But yeah, this was one time, when Aaliyah came over, my
Hmm.
mom was upstairs cooking, and she stopped what she was doing just to come downstairs and actually said, like, "Hey, who is this kid, man? She got something going on here." My mom
Okay.
recognized that the very first day. So she and I worked together for some years, man. I think we worked together about 8, 9 years before she actually went with R. Kelly, and he produced her first album with her. Because I was doing pretty much just like doing the local um, performances for different groups. We were at what was then Cobo Hall. We did a thing at the Palace of Auburn Hills. A lot of different organizations would hire her, and I'd be her accompanist to play along with her. So I was working on a lot of her repertoire. When she went on the Star Search, I think the movie that they had about her,
Okay.
the opening of the movie, they have her singing as a little girl, My Funny Valentine. Well, I had actually arranged that music, that arrangement of My Funny Valentine for her to sing.
Oh
You know,
wow.
yeah.
So one question. So you were her vocal coach, or or you did a little bit of that, but more so, was like guiding the music thing and providing the music along with her singing.
I was more providing the music. I did a little
Okay.
vocalese. I mean, I did some vocalese with her. Uh,
Okay.
I wasn't just an outright vocal coach. She had the pipes. I just worked her through like different exercises and things. There was some other people who came along. I think Wendy Petty's her name. We worked together over the years. Was more of a vocal coach to Aaliyah. But yeah, I worked with her, and was just helping her on building her own repertoire, and just you know just getting her in front of people to perform. You know, so that was the extent of my experience with her. But we had become close over the time that we were together. And I remember her dad used to come by. He used to videotape it. As a matter of fact, you can go on YouTube and look up rare video footage of Aaliyah.
Hmm.
And there's out of all of the videos that you see on there, there's one video that gets like 5 stars. Only one. And it's only about 22 seconds long.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's her singing Anything for You. And she was at my house. And I was playing the music behind her.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah. So you look that up. And that was amazing to me because I'm looking through all this weird footage. And it's like, that's the only one that gets 5 stars. You know,
Right.
So I had the pleasure to be playing with her on that. So yeah, we did a lot together, man. I'm sure there's some video footage of us performing because, like I say, her dad used to bring a video camera back then and tape us. But I haven't had in contact with him. I don't even know if he's still alive. But
Oh, wow.
yeah, I know he had. Well, I know he had a stroke the day that I believe she when she died in a plane crash. And that was part of the reason I think she was rushing it to get home. But
Mm.
yeah, there was a lot of interesting things there. Like when I was working with her, like I say, I was right there the day that she and R. Kelly met. You know, and I
Okay.
remember the first thing he asked her, "Do you believe in God?" And she said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, okay, we're good to go." You know,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he sat down. I had a keyboard set up there, and he played. He was singing a couple of his songs off of his first album. I think it's called 12 Play. You know, but yeah, uh, yeah, that was quite an exciting experience though, to work with her. And that to be a lesser known fact because I tell people that sometimes to be like, yeah, right. But this is something about those of us behind the scenes. You know, there's a lot of more interesting stories than we see the people that are out front. You know,
Right.
that we see that things that we don't know that even as interesting, not more interesting than the stuff that we generally know that's on the news or whatever. You know.
Right. So let me ask you, let's get a little bit deeper into that whole thing. Um, how was Aaliyah as a person? Like, what were how yeah, how was she as a person? And then, expound
Uh,
a little bit on you guys' personal relationship,
I
you know.
mean, she was salt of the earth, man. I can definitely relate to why. I mean, her popularity. There's some popularity for people that's just talented and all of that, and got all the flash and charm and all of that. No, I mean, as a person, she was very genuine. She was
Okay.
very genuine. I mean, um, what I mean by that is, and that this is something that I'm sure was instilled in her by her mom and dad. Because another thing that she did a lot of, and we did together, we used to go to like different nursing homes and
Oh,
just perform for them. Yeah, and that
mm,
was a delight. I mean, she just was just tickled pink at just performing for these people and the way they would just gravitate to her, and she was just so engaging to them, and it was all genuine. It wasn't just trying to, you know, like, look at me. I'm so talented and all. She just had a genuine spirit about her that was. This was the draw for her. For people around the world that know and love her. You know, so.
wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, she seemed. I mean, I've never met her ever, but she did seem like a real sweet young lady from what was shown over the programmer. And
Mm.
she was she shy?
She was quite. No, she wasn't shy. She
Okay.
wasn't shy, but she was. I don't know what to put it, but she was reserved.
Okay.
In other words, she was like observant, and at the same time, I mean, she could turn up at any minute, but it wasn't like she was the kind of person that had more class. It's like she didn't have to just you know be outgoing just to show, just to like some people just loud and outgoing. No, she wasn't outgoing like that. Uh,
Okay.
I don't know if you understanding what I'm saying there, but
Oh, I
she was
do. I do.
yeah she was outgoing, but she wasn't just like not overbearing with it or anything.
Right, 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 right. So there was a period of time that you two had gotten a little disconnected, am I right?
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Okay. And there was an attempt, well, there was a call to, or I will say she was placed on your mind and your heart for whatever reason. Can you expound on that and go into that whole story?
Yeah, when she actually when she connected with R. Kelly, and the intention there was for her to connect with somebody. I don't know. My thing, I guess, with her was pretty much completed. I wasn't really producing any music with her, and I wasn't really into that genre. But uh, like I said, what I was doing with her was accompanying her and just getting her started in her formative years. When she hooked up with R. Kelly, that's when she went to another level of exposure. And then she got introduced to different people, like DMX, Missy Elliott, Damon Dash. I think she even hooked up with Jay-Z.
Mhm.
There was there was rumor that she was actually supposed to be who Beyonce is. You
Yes.
that was her spot. It was originally uh, it was originally said, the word on the street was that that Jay Z was actually uh, looking for her to work with him, you know,
Right.
and it just worked out that he and Beyonce had hooked up. Um,
Yep, yep. She
yeah, but
ended
we
up actually dating Dame Dash, but go ahead.
Dash.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, we've become disconnected for some time, and I know up around the time that she passed away, I would say maybe about 4 or 5 months or so. You know, I would start dreaming about her, and I dreamed about her kind of often. And after a while, it was like I was saying to myself, wow, why am I dreaming about this girl so much? What's going on? And
Right.
I know she had moved to New York. That's what I found out that she had moved to New York. So I was actually going to go and attempt to find her. you know. So I had went to my brother. He had a computer, and I didn't have a computer back then. That was in 2001, and we went online and looked up plane tickets for New York, and I
Mhm.
was gonna go, and that was what day was that? That was on the 20th, I think, of like maybe like 20th of August, and booked a flight to go to New York, and I was gonna attempt to hook up with her then because I got information on where to find her. I got contact with her mother, and yeah, it was 5 days later. I think it was on 25th of August when she had that fatal plane crash after um, she had just got through shooting a video. I think it was the what was that song?
Rock the boat.
Rock the Boat, right? She had just got through doing that video, and of course, that was a tragedy, man. That was just sent ripples, through not just the entertainment world, but just the world in general, man. I mean, that really hit me hard, because like I say, I was planning to go find her. Now,
Mhm.
the what was really um, funny about that was that the booking of the flight was, I think, for like the 8th of September,
Okay.
2001. and it was only going to be like a 3 day trip. So the return trip was supposed to be on the 11th of September, 9/11.
Mm.
So I would have been right there in New York.
That's deep.
I would have
That's
been right.
really deep. So here it is that you're having this dream. So it's like a sign of such because we are interconnected. And I believe through you teaching different people, your journey has been to leave some form of imprint aside from assisting people along. But I think this is just what I think once you left that imprint on her spirit, she was able to go forward, and it would help her moving forward. But unfortunately, she did lose her life. Um, and then it's amazing that considering the time frame, you were, for whatever reason, you didn't make it out there, did you?
I didn't make it out to New York.
Yeah.
No, that's what I was saying. I had booked the flight on the 20th of August,
Mhm.
and the booking was for the next month, for
Did they
September.
cancel it?
Well, I canceled it because I couldn't, because she had died on the 25th of August. See, the
Okay.
timeline was the 20th of August. I booked the flight. 5 days
Right.
later, when her plane crashed.
Right.
Okay,
And you
but
avoided 9/11.
yeah, but the booking of the flight was from the 8th of September to the 11th of September. It was supposed to be returning, and the morning of 9/11.
Now you actually saw her before she passed at a high school, correct?
Right, right. I saw
Okay.
her. And
And how did that go?
it's a funny thing. I was there with one of my other students, the young lady I mentioned earlier, Kristen, and I was playing for her. She needed to audition to get into the school, because she was just coming out of eighth grade, going into ninth grade, and so she needed someone to get her together on a couple of songs to sing, and she needed for me to accompany her on those same songs. So that's what we did, and as I was there playing for her, then door opens and here Leah walks in, you know, and it was like she was just like frozen, you know,
Okay.
and I never forget. I was like, "Hey, Leah, how you doing, girl? What's going on?" And it's like she said nothing, and I just, I was kind of like, "What?"
Right.
So at that point, I was like, "Okay, well, maybe she just I don't know. I didn't know what to think. That she was acting funny or what,
Okay.
fame on her head. I didn't know. I had no idea. But that's that's kind of the way I took it, you
Right.
know. And show you how things work out, Um, it wasn't until after she died, maybe a year after she died, when a mutual friend called me and told me that her mother was in town and she wanted to see me, you know. And so I went to this mutual friend's house, and I had met with, her mother, Diane, and we talked, man, for a long time.
Okay.
And in the conversation, it's just like she was just crying. It was like, "I'm so sorry, Rick. I'm so sorry." I'm like, I'm kind of confused. I'm like, "What you sorry about? You're not consoling me." I'm like, "What?" And she was like, "Man," Aaliyah kept saying to me, "Mom, where's Rick? I need you to find Rick for me. I know you got his number. I need you to call him for me. Fly him out here to see
Mm.
me. I need to see him." And so what she was sharing with me then was that, you know, she really wanted to see me. She wanted to connect with me. This was after I thought all that I thought about that incident at the school.
Mhm.
It really wasn't that at all. You know, it really wasn't that at all. And a friend of mine that I was talking to about that, she said, "Yeah, she was just so shocked to see you, man. And she just was speechless. You
Mm.
know, and so that just, man, that just messed my head up because
Mm.
after I was thinking of all I was thinking, and then to realize, that it was kind of like her mother saying to me, man, you know, I should have called you, man. I should have called you. My baby might still be alive today, you know. And that was like, wow, that was just the last thing I would ever want to hear. Um, and that kind of was not the beginning, but it was definitely right in the period of time when I was losing significant women in my life. And she was
Mm.
one.
Oh,
Mom had died not long after that conversation that I had with Aaliyah's mother. I had an aunt who died, two aunts who died, another woman that was really close to it, one of my churches. I mean, these were some significant women figures in my life, man, that were just like one after the next were just leaving here.
okay.
And that, I guess, sent me into, I don't know, a kind of a downward spiral, if you will, and that, I guess, would lead me into my own experience with, drugs and alcohol, you know,
O-
you
Okay,
know,
we're gonna dive into that next. I
okay,
just want before we transition to that, I want to ask this question.
sure.
Um, if you had to really look within, what do you think is the reason of why? Because here it is, that incident happened at the school. You felt how you felt. Her mother, a year later, tells you what was really up. Why do you think that connection wasn't made? I mean, because I know I would think that you've had to think about this. Like, how was this missed? Like, why did this happen? What do you think was the reason for that?
I mean, the only thing that I could think was that maybe, maybe she really wanted, you know, to work with me, and maybe it was. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe she wanted to work with me, and she realized that she was in an industry that was demanding more of her than she really wanted to give of herself, and you know because that was kind of part of uh, her mother and I's conversation too. When she was telling me that, she said, "Rick, I would just do anything to just get my baby back. I don't care if she worked at McDonald's or whatever. Just for her to just have a simpler life.
Mhm,
Because you know, she was telling me about how, like, when she was doing, even when she did the video that she did the day that she died, the Rock the Boat video.
mhm,
Her mother was telling me she didn't really want her doing that, but she said it was her decision to do what she wanted to do. But she said she wasn't really in agreement with a lot of that. And like, even when she did different things, like this one movie that she did called Queen of the Dam.
mhm,
She was saying she really didn't want her to do that, because it was just something. It was just wasn't. It was very unsettling about that whole thing.
mhm,
So you never know. I mean, and see that now segues into this industry, entertainment.
mhm. It's so many things we about to cover today. It really is. You know, it was funny. My mom is very religious, and she was saying that whole queen of the damn thing might have opened up some kind of gateway of trouble for her. I do think you have to be careful because when you do, um, now I don't believe this woman is in hell or nothing like that. I don't. We that's another conversation for another day.
Yes.
We ain't gonna go there, but I do think that you have to be careful of the entities that you invite in because when you're playing a character, in essence, you have to take on the energy of that character. And when you're taking on the energy and embodying that character, you're in a way channeling that spirit. So you do have to be careful on the roles that you take. When her mother wasn't Was it the message of the Rock the Boat? Was it, the video itself? Like, what didn't she approve of? Because, the industry, it was Aaliyah at that time, she was more on the, back then, they could wear the, baggy clothes and stuff like that. They'd show a little bit of skin, but it was really still they still kinda had a balance to it. More of the, sex, if anything, came subliminally through the lyrics, and some of them were direct as well, but women weren't required to be as sexed up as they are now. And so, sh she was just beginning to get into the beginning of that when it started really cranking up a notch. She kinda left here prior to that, but it was segueing into that with the, um, what's that one video she did with the snake, going around her?
Yeah,
Who should I can't think of the name, but
we need a
who
revolution. Not
I need a revolution. Yes, that is.
that's
That
it.
song, and then, the Rock the Boat obviously was talking about sex, so what didn't her mother really like about it?
I guess it's what you were just saying there. She could see where it was leading to, where it was going,
Right.
and it demands. That's this is something that we all, I guess, in this field of entertainment, have to consider. What the industry demands of this, of us. In other
Yep.
words,
How much are you willing to give? How much are you willing to compromise? How much people chip away at their soul and sell themselves. Um, I do believe that, some people outright sell like, they know they selling their souls, and I believe with some people, it's a gradual thing. Like, they done lost themselves before they know it, you know what I'm saying? It's like, "Hey, I'm not
mhm.
even who I started out to be." Um, I don't know where to go. I mean, there's 2 so we do wanna get back to your, spiral, but, we also wanna cover this industry thing because I think it's very important that people understand. We look at the glitz and the glamour of things, right? And we don't understand. I think as I've come, even with my own journey, even with the almost 6 years of doing this and having to change my direction, which I was doing, what I'm doing now, I have been doing, but I kind of was mixing it and getting off the beaten trail, and
Mhm.
it's hard to do 2 different things at once. You gotta it's like it's almost like you can't serve 2 masters. I mean,
Right.
that kinda is applicable here. Some people can do it, but it's not always successful, and it wasn't working for me, and not because I can't do it, but because it's not for me. I'm to do what I'm doing now.
Right.
And so, you as I look through the lenses and just look at what I'm seeing, people go into these things because they want freedom. They want a life away from what they're used to. And it just seems like the more you pursue your reason of why you're doing it, is the further you get away from it in the entertainment industry. Before you know it, you are a slave to the energy, to the industry. You're compromised, and nothing about their lives is appealing. From the constantly being in the blogs, just the demands, just the constantly having to come up with more antics to stay relevant. People have shorter attention spans, so now we really have to fly off the deep end to get likes and comments and shares, and it's crazy. So, um when it comes to the entertainment industry, I know I've heard stories of people being approached with contracts that were pretty deep. Stories that people be like, "That's not real. That's conspiracy, and you're crazy." And what is your take on that? And you can go your own way with the whole thing with the industry because I know when you brought it up, you had a direction you wanted to go, but I'm gonna let you talk.
Okay. Well, okay. Let's go to the basics, man. I guess the word entertainment itself.
Mm,
The word entertainment comes from the Latin word think it's, if I might not have the pronunciation right, but it's spelled like entretenimiento.
Mm.
That's the Latin word for entertainment, which literally means to enter the mind. Entretenimiento, entertainment, enter the
Mhm.
mind. That's literally what the word entertainment means. So you can take it from there. Um, and that's what this is all about. I mean, when we talk about creating and controlling narratives, as I hear a lot in in like podcasts or interviews on TV and cable and all. Everybody's and in the news. Everybody's talking about changing the narrative. Well, that's what the narrative is all about. The entertainment value. You know, what's appealing to the eye, to the ear. Um, what motivates you to do what it is you do. And I mean, when you have an industry that offers you things, it hasn't changed a lot. I mean, the music, the entertainment industry in terms of music and even film for that matter, hasn't changed a lot over the years in regards to what kind of clauses are in contracts or what they expect from you, and what they want you to provide for them over a period of time,
Mhm.
you know, and there's just certain key things I think one has to look for when you present it with a contract. I would say first you gotta have uh, you gotta know what you want out of it yourself. If it's just a material gain, then hey, they can just buy you a couple new cars and some jewelry, and throw a couple girls your way, and that's all I need. I'm good. You know.
Right.
But now, if I'm setting some kind of a goal in terms of a standard that I want, then then I already know what I'm looking for, and I know what I'm not. I know what I'm willing to do and not willing to do. But it's very it's very tricky, this industry, and the way things are worded. You know, uh, you know, you sign up for things and don't even realize that's what you signed up for.
Mhm.
Which is pretty much like life itself. You know, uh, we see that all the time when we're applying for credit lines or whatever like that, and the next thing you know, we're paying for way more. So wait a minute, I didn't, I didn't sign up for this, and how are you charging me every month for this, and that's not what I wanted, but you didn't read the fine print. But
Mhm.
there's a lot to do with like reading the fine print. We're talking about contracts and what the industry demands of people. Like we talk about, you were saying the Aaliyah wearing the baggy clothes, for instance, and that was on the precipice of you know all this skin that we see now when we see artists say like Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B, artists like this,
Nicki
you
Minaj.
know, and how their themes are very overt and very a lot of people say they're over the top, but hey, man, there's some recordings that I have here that are from the 20s and 30s that will curl your hair all over again if I play them for you, because they say very explicitly what I'll do to you and what I'll let you do to me. You know,
Mhm.
this is nothing new.
Yeah,
And
nothing new under the
this
sun.
is more visual now. You
Right.
know, it's more visual now. But that was at a time when I'm talking about the historical bits. This is at a time when this was provided for people of a certain age group. Little children wasn't privy to this thing, but you have artists like Cardi and like Megan Thee Stallion now, which I mean, I admire these girls. I ain't knocking none of them. Matter of fact, I love them. I love me some Cardi and some Megan, but there was a forum that I was watching, and it was on one of these shows. I know it was P. Diddy Station, one of them. They had um, an older artist, a lady, elder, and she was talking to some of the younger girls,
Mhm.
and I can't remember this girl's name. It was one of Cardi and Megan's contemporaries, but yeah, the girl was talking to her. She was kind of disrespectful. She's talking to her like, "Oh, lady, you don't know what you're talking about. What we doing is art. This ain't nothing but expression. This is just art." And I
Mm.
mean, the elder man, she did this so cool, man. I just like, whoa, somebody need to run this again. She was saying, honey, uh, that's not art. That's not expression. She said, you just hurt and mad because somebody made you feel ugly when you was little, and you living your life not trying to get revenge and showing everybody how on top you are. She said,
Mhm.
but that's not getting revenge, you know. And what she was talking about is, this is what we do now in industry to compensate for something, the hurt and the pain. We all been hurt and gone through experiences, but uh, it's the way that we present ourselves and make it, it's what we do to get on top and be on top and be about
Mhm.
it and to be hot, you know. Uh, and you know, I look at artists like with this one kid, what's his name, that had this incident down in Texas, the rapper, Travis,
Oh, okay.
Travis, yeah, Scott. You know, when I was looking at this video footage that they were showing when it first happened, and I saw the way he was reacting to seeing the ambulances coming up and what was going on in the crowd, I'm like, this is the definition of vanity. You know, when I say vanity, I'm talking about like, you know, a woman knows she got a big butt and everything that every man wants or whatever, and she's walking down the street and say, if you walk down the street and I see you and I'm like, dang, and I
Mhm.
skirt and crash into something, you know, man, that just boosts your ego like 10 times. Like you going and telling all your girlfriends now, yeah, so I made this dude crash into a fire hydrant or a wall because he was looking at me. You know, that's the spirit of vanity, you
Mhm.
know. In other words, and it doesn't stop there, you know. So when I'm a performer and I'm in front of 50,000 people and they trampling each other, you know, all for me, that makes me feel superior in some kind of way. I mean, there's more to that when it comes, when it comes down to why he's being sued by so many people. This is a thing that has to do with people of color. If it was all people of color, it
Mhm.
might not have been this kind of outcome. It might not be getting the news coverage it has. But there's other people involved in this now, and their kids, and so it's a problem now.
Mhm.
It's a problem now. So, but that's something else. But going back to what you're asking me originally with contracts and what we're willing to do, you know, um, man, it's just so many things out here to suck us in, to
Mhm.
seduce us, to seduce your mind. When we talk about entertainment again, a gentleman I worked with when I was a teenager, his name was Rico. I can't remember his last name. But anyway, he told me something that I've always kept in my mind. He said, two things, young man, is always going to exist on this earth: sex and entertainment. He said, I don't care how bad it gets. People going to want sex and they're going to want to be entertained. I don't care how bad it gets,
Mhm.
you know. And yeah, I mean, people are always going to want to to see a show, you know, uh, to see a display of. So and see now when it goes back to what the industry dictates, and when they give you a contract to say you must do this and you must do this, then you got to present a certain image to your audience.
Mhm.
And that the industry that gives you this contract knows that this is what the audience wants. They have an appetite for this certain thing.
Mhm.
You know, and so that's what they want you to provide. You know, even if you don't want to. You know, I mean, when you look at, I look at young black men. Whether it be with the sagging pants or the jewelry, or the girls, or the flashing money or the guns or the cars riding on 22s and all this. It's like, okay, that's cool, but um, I mean, there's more to life to me than that anyway. I think, for a lot of us, it'd be like, hey, they envy that kind of life. That's what they
Hmm.
want to live. But behind the scenes, you'd be surprised. A lot of these young men don't even live these kind of lives. A lot of these young men are family men.
Yeah.
I think about people like Uncle Luke, and the Two Live Crew. I mean, he's done some stuff on stage with some girls, man. Be like, oh boy, really? But
Uncle
now
Luke is
this
outrageous.
same person, he would not allow his children, coming up to watch any rappers. He wouldn't allow it,
Yeah, because he
So
understood what was going on.
yeah, he understood what was going on, but why do it's like somebody posted on Facebook one day. Um, how did they put this? Let me see if I can search in my mind and remember this. It was a real nice little post they had. Um, Rappers' kids go to private schools. Rappers' lyrics send your kids to the morgue.
Yeah. I mean,
Mm.
I think everybody's intention, well, I won't say everybody's, but I'm sure some people just get caught up. They want to do one thing and then they sign these contracts and then it just gets out of hand. And at the end of the day, they want to maintain their lifestyle. So they do what they're told. Do you believe that there is any room for, let's say you're independent and with the internet now, the internet has become very tricky lately with these algorithms. So like, I truly believe that now we're going to go back to more in person stuff and more underground to kind of make it because they're even trying to control. If you really look at it, they're trying to control even who goes viral to a degree. Now you might slip through, but once they realize what angle you're coming from,
Mm-hmm.
and if it's not, going along with what they want promoted, they start, they got I don't know how, but they've got their engineers and stuff in the background to make sure that they shorten your reach so that you won't be seen. But let's say, a person does slip through at rap talent and they do go viral, and, do you really think there's once let's say they get huge, huge, like mega huge, do you believe that they will be approached with a contract, and if they don't comply, then they will be hushed up? Because if you look at artists like Common and Lauren Hill and different ones that were conscious, they didn't last in the game too long. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And back then they weren't doing independence; they were doing contracts. But I'm just saying, like now, there's room for you to go independent, but still, do you believe that you can really get the machine behind you without signing to it, signing your life away?
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth when you said in person.
Mhm.
See, that goes back to my analogy of talking about when I was talking to my nephew about wanting to see him in person. He said, "Okay, you want to Skype?" You know, This is what we're talking about. We're talking about humanity now. Now, to answer your question, uh, in person, to me, uh, I mean, that's the way I do my thing. You know, uh, Now I understand like what you're talking about with these algorithms and things. Now, like
Mhm.
hey, you might have 10,000 likes, or so you thought. When you go back and click on tomorrow or the next day, you find out, oh, you only got 5,000 likes. Well, where my other 5,000 likes go?
So you're hip to that too, because that has
Oh,
happened to me.
that's nothing new, baby. They've been doing that.
Mhm.
You probably just see. So that means if you're experiencing it now, see, they've been watching you for a minute.
Yeah.
And they've been letting you, okay, oh yeah, okay, look, we need to dial her down a little bit now
Yep.
because she making
And I've
some
been
noise.
feeling that though. I have been,
Right.
and it's crazy because you tell people these things and they think you're nuts. I said,
Mm-mm.
I know it. I know they're watching me. I
Yeah.
believe they have me on a list. I believe they have predicted where I'm trying to go. And they're saying, nope, we don't want that because this is what
Yeah.
she's trying to bring.
Yeah. Well, see, when we're doing this over these, I want to say these airwaves or virtual, you know. See, I got a little poem that's in the form of a song. You hear it one day, and it goes, "Virtual world is on the rise. Everything is in disguise. Right before our very eyes, we're all changing. Something different, something new. Don't know if it's good for you. They say Big Brother's watching you, but somebody's watching Big Brother too."
Mhm. Mhm. That's so true. That's profound. I
Yeah,
think we do have to realize we give too much to this machine. We give too much
yeah,
information. We give too much energy from it, and we have become our worst enemy. Because they can't. It's very hard to plan things when they don't have anything to plan with, and we put it at their feet. So I think a lot of people that want to make a difference, you have to realize that now you have to get out there. You have to get out there, and then you build people that way. You get connected to them, you get their information and you stay connected to them. You send them your things other ways,
yeah. You got,
because this ain't, mm,
yeah. You got to stay connected personally with people. It's good to be able to do this thing in this format here, where you
yeah.
could reach people in New Zealand and England and Australia and China and all different parts of the world. That's
Mhm.
wonderful. That's wonderful. But yeah, uh, there's only so far that access is gonna go.
Yeah.
At one point it was wide open, but it's just like information. Like we used to say we're in the information age.
Mhm.
Well, that's gonna be slowly diminishing too. It's not to see that the information we have access to now.
Oh,
You
they
know,
take a step away. That's why I always say,
oh yeah,
make sure that you buy your children books. Stop thinking to get these things online, these virtual books. Buy a hard copy, because once you have it, unless they're going to break in your house and raid your books, you will have your books. Because what it is at this point, it's almost hard to know what's true, because they can put anything that they want on Google or whatever. Google has become, I don't know. AI, there is an argument that the Antichrist is really artificial intelligence, is really what the Antichrist. People believe it's a person, or they're going to
mhm,
sit in the presidential seat. I Not necessarily. We take things literally. Even to the Bible, we take it literally. But you things rear their ugly head where you least suspect it. But if you're
no,
paying attention, you'll have some kind of knowing. You'll have some kind of knowing.
right.
Um, so it is my belief that if you do, from my personal experience, and I'm not on a mega scale yet, but they watching me. So if you do want to make it and you do want to be positive, and you're going to have to foot it, because
No,
once they catch
no,
on to you, they're going to shut you up.
got a pound payment. Excuse me, Michael. Can we break for a second? Cause
Yeah.
I need make a quick run
Okay.
in minutes.
Okay. All right. And we're back.
We're talking about entertainment, and where we were specifically was the contracts, and we're talking about the algorithms and the likes and having to connect with people personally.
Yeah. So let
And
me ask you. Oh, go ahead. I'm
go ahead,
sorry.
you go ahead.
Let me ask you this. Has anyone ever come to you with any propositions that you feel like, this is going to go the wrong way for me? Any of those kind of experiences?
Uh, I mean, when you say they come to the proposition, like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I can say I have, you know, I guess not just so much directly
Okay.
as I know where it was gonna go.
Okay.
Okay, and See, nowadays, through my own personal experiences and being in this industry, uh, I've learned how to listen very carefully when somebody says to me, "Hey, man, let's." I'm listening very carefully to what comes out of your mouth next,
Okay.
because that's let's. See, when anybody says "let's" to you, that means a joining of forces. That's a key
Yeah.
word. So when that comes out, and then there's different things too. I have a nephew. He's in the industry,
Okay.
and I was schooling him one day. He and a buddy of his, and they were just asking me about different things in the industry and all. Just asking for some tidbits or whatever wisdom, if you will. You know, and I was just trying to think of some for instances. And I said, okay, let me say this: when somebody comes to you and says to you, "Hey, man, how you like that?" Say like if somebody brought a girl in the room, or brought some drugs or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they said, "Hey, how you like that?" You know. Now, if somebody comes to you and they ask you, "What you think about this?"
Mm-hmm.
There's two different questions. You might think they're the same, but when somebody says to you, "Hey, how you like that?" You know,
Hmm.
you know, that's appealing to what it is that you might be weak for. And I'm trying to
Right.
find what it is.
Right.
Now, when you ask me about being approached, yeah, I've been approached with that. I've been approached with that. Somebody might say, they might have some drugs or whatever, or they might offer me some, or they might ask me, well, how you like that? You know, see, that's one thing. Now, if somebody's coming to me with an idea, now they're appealing to me on a little higher level. Now you want my input on something. Hey, Rick, what do you think about this? Now you're asking me about an idea that you have,
Hmm.
something that's more constructive. See, when you ask me how I like something, now you're at the premise of offering me something that I can go out and get myself. You know, you know, you might bring me some girlies, you might bring me some drugs, you might bring me some this and that and the other. Hey, I can go find that myself, man. you know. So what are you doing?
Right.
Back to the industry again. It's not a new thing. It's like when rappers, they used to just pay them off with new cars and or jewelry, you know. And then when it come time to collect their money on the back end, when they see their records, jumping off the charts, then the industry say, "Oh, we didn't already paid you, man. Don't you see that car you out there driving? All
Mm-mm.
that jewelry, you know." I mean, shoot, I've seen some people that have sold their music to somebody, you know, for some drugs, and it'd be like on the back end, "Hey, where my money at?" You know, well, man, shoot, I done got you a couple keys of such and such. I done did this and did that for you. What else you want?
Hmm.
So
Yeah, that's deep.
this is the industry. This is what the industry would do for you. It wants to, in terms of appealing to your humanity, they want to appeal to the lower part of your humanity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, shit. I can appeal to my own lower part of my own humanity. I know what kind of stuff I like, and I
Yeah.
know where to go get it.
Some
So,
very low vibrational type stuff they be having going on. So let's get back to you.
mhm.
So you had lost a lot of important and ladies that you were close with, family, Aaliyah, different ones, and that began or that is triggered the down spiral. So how what was going on at that time? How did that happen?
I mean, as I look back, this is what I surmise from all of this. Um, I belong to a support group now, which I'm not going to give the name of because we
Okay.
don't need to advertise here. But the thing is that I belong to a support group, and it's giving me the platform. It's giving me the foundation. That's the word I like. Platform is something that's just resting on it could be blown away, but give me some foundation, something, a tree's rooted in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, um, um, okay, where was I at? The
You talking about how it,
support group gives me some reflection, give me some way to reflect on, you know, what had happened. Like we say, what had happened was, you know, and I think what had happened to me is that I was going through a period when that was rough in itself, and I
Mhm.
needed an outlet for the grief that I wouldn't naturally let out.
Okay.
You know, um, I think about you know my mother, for instance. In losing her, I was actually at her homegoing service, and I never forget telling the preacher who was officiating the service. When he was getting ready to give the eulogy, I remember getting up there, all proud and like, "Hey, preach, I got this, man. Let me do this. This is my mama," you know. And I went ahead and gave the eulogy, and I spoke for a good while, and people got up and they gave me a big standing ovation and things, and you know, um, but I remember that when I went to sit down, man, I felt all that grief that I was holding back.
Mm-hmm.
It was showering down on me like Niagara Falls,
Mm.
and I just felt like the tears coming down. But you know what I did? I did a terrible, terrible thing, man. I held those tears back, trying
Mm.
trying to be strong for somebody else, or maybe worried about what somebody looking at me, you
Mm-hmm.
know, something like that. See, grief that's one of those things, man, that's really powerful, and we all have to give grief its day because it's gonna have its day,
Right.
one way or another. And that's what I realized then, man, because I'm calling myself, hold myself up, being strong, because otherwise I would have just fell out right there, man. They would probably had to carry me out that day because I felt it that heavy on me, you know. And I'll tell anybody, man, if you're going through something like that, anytime you want to cry, you better just let them tears fall, you know, because this is what I truly believe. It led me through that door of those addictions, man, because, you know, that grief had to have its turn.
Right. So what
So
was the
mm,
turning point? What was the okay, enough is enough. What was the straw that
enough,
broke the camel's
enough
back?
for me.
Mhm.
It came in stages, you know. I believe throughout my whole time that I was drinking and drugging and all that I never lost my connection with God.
Mhm.
Uh, I do remember a couple of incidents that were really those, like you said, those turning points. I remember one night I was just really just on a binge, man. I must have had a half a gallon of whatever I was drinking that night, and I just had, some other stuff. I had some powder, I had some smoke, and I was just gone.
Ooh.
I was just gone. And I never forget, man, looking in the mirror and just didn't like who I saw looking back at me. You know, it was one of those things that's like, is that me? Oh my God. And I just, right then, I just started talking to God, you
Did you
know.
see you or was it a distorted vision of you or what did you
Well,
see
of
in the
course,
mirror?
it was me.
Oh
Me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you were looking in the mirror.
I was looking in the mirror, yeah, like you said, it was a distorted image of myself. I mean, I saw my whole experience in that one instance, man. And it
Mm.
brought me to a place where I didn't realize it at the time, but I was really connecting with God. And it was a simple prayer. It was a simple, God, I remember saying, God, I really like this high, but do you think you can give it to me without the substance?
Mm.
And Raquel, it was deep because I didn't think no more of it then. Matter of fact, I kind of laughed at myself for even trying to connect with God like that because I'm like, listen, you trying to bargain with God.
So I think we ended on the part where.
I was saying that, I think I was saying, I was calling myself bargaining with God because I was asking him to, at least give me the same high that I was experiencing at that time without the substance. And long story short, there, for the next, oh man, 6, 7, 8 months, it's like amazingly, I had no desire for anything.
Okay.
I didn't even want to smoke a cigarette, nothing. I had no desire for any kind of mind altering nothing. And I really just thought that that was wonderful. But
Mm.
I did fall off again at a point. And this is where those suggestions come in. When somebody say, let's, uh, I was talking to a friend of mine who it was actually a friend of my brother's. They were on the front porch and I was leaving the house and they were sitting out there. And the guy says to me, "Hey man, I haven't seen you around. You've been kind of missing in action lately."
Mhm.
And well, we're having a party over at the house this weekend, man. We're gonna have a little of this and a little of that. You need to come on through. And
Mm.
my only response was, "Okay," and that's all it took. That's all it took. Just a simple "okay." So when someone, it's like the suggestion, like you asked me about being approached,
Mhm.
you know, no, understand what it is that you're willing or not willing to do, and then be careful who you just be in the presence of, in terms of trust, because that's what this is all about. If I trust you, then I might try something. I might try something that you suggest to me that I would otherwise say, okay, that ain't gonna be too cool for me. You know, so that power of suggestion is very strong. And in this industry, we're going back to entertainment now. It's all about the power of suggestion, man. You
Yeah.
know, and these artists that are out here doing what they do and knowing that they don't practice these things in their family, but they'll do it to make a living. Well,
Mhm.
you riding the fence.
Mhm.
You riding the fence because if I'm not going to share this with my children, but I'm a feed it to your children all day. Okay, what kind of a role model or whatever figure am I? You
Mhm.
know. So going back to this this experience that I was having. So I went back to drinking and drugging again, and after some time had passed, and I had gone through different periods of knowing that I wanted to do something about it, but
Mhm.
didn't really have the willpower to do anything about it. And I was even enjoying it, so to speak, may call
Mhm.
myself enjoying it, you know. Um, then I was reaching out to other people, you know, my wife, who was at the time we were dating,
Mhm.
I'm mentioning to her that I think I want to get into some kind of program, so I can so I can stop, drinking and drugging and all. And I remember
Mhm.
her saying to me, "Yeah, well, good luck with that," you know. And I was really kind of pissed off at her because I'm like, well, man, she can't give me no more encouragement than that. And I told her to this day, I said I was pissed off at you about that. But
Mhm.
now this is when I was talking to God before.
Mhm.
This is when God started talking to me.
Mm.
See, so this is what the difference between prayer and meditation is. Prayer is when you talking to God, you thanking Him for thanking Him for this, that, or the other, or you asking for wisdom or whatever. But when you meditating, that's when he's talking to you. So I guess I had to be meditating because I was hearing it real clear. And he was saying, "Fool, what do you want her to say to you? This is something that you got to deal with. This
Mhm.
is something this is your dilemma,
Mhm.
and you got to fix it not for her, not for your job, not
Mhm.
because you got some tickets, not because you caught a case, not for this.
Mhm.
You got to do this for you,
Mhm.
you know."
That's deep.
And that's when I realized before I got into my support group because these were the things that they were talking about, and I was like, "Oh my God." I was already being prepared for this thing.
Mhm.
So it wasn't that I was looking for it, it was looking for me.
That's deep. That's real. How do you meditate? Cause I'm still trying to. I
Meditation
know
is,
if I could get that done, I'd be ziggity boom, but it's complicated for me. So.
well, I mean, easy does it. I mean, easy is we meditate all throughout the day. Whenever we got our mind fixed on whatever we got our mind fixed on, we meditating. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, it's not a thing where like we have to get deep and fold our legs into a half lotus and you know and go and connect with the universe and I mean it's not that deep, you know. And why I'm saying that is just like when I was talking to God that night when I said, God, I really enjoy this high, but can you give it to me without the substance? I
Mhm.
didn't realize I was really connecting with God. So when you hear people like this, like you hear people that are calling themselves prayer warriors, and they
Mhm.
really know how to pray. I mean, really, just they can say all the things. Man, it's just like whoa, they taking me to church. You
Mhm.
know, they are really, See, that's fine, but you have to understand too that the simplicity. God isn't really. It doesn't really listen to our words
Mm.
at all. God does not listen to our words. He listens to our heart,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
So when we meditating with like the scripture in the Bible says, let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable unto thee,
Mhm.
you know, and in all thy ways acknowledge him and he shall direct your path. You know. There's a lot of spiritual wisdom that we get, coming from the good book. And but it's the simplest things that we need to apply. So a lot of people will give you all of these different methods. When all you got to do this, you got to be in this kind of room, you got to have your feng shui together, and all of that.
Mhm.
No, no. And now when we're going back to the original part of when we open the conversation, when you ask me about my beliefs, I don't
Mhm.
get in all of that. See, my thing is, it's just like once again, going back to my support group. My support group doesn't dwell on what God you worship, as long as you're acknowledging some higher power. So as long as you say that you realize that there's a higher power that's working in your life, and
Mhm.
and I can appreciate that because once again, it's not the messenger as much as it is the message.
Mhm.
Did you get the message? You
Right.
know, and like you can go to church. We grew up in church to learn how to believe in God. But when we grow up and then we get on a spiritual path and we start going through some things, you're gonna learn to know God. So it's different between believing in and knowing God. It's like believing in Santa Claus, and then we grow up and we realize that okay, he was just one of those figures that our parents was just raising us on, and then we had to grow up to learn it. A lot of kids, their mom and dad just tell them right off the bat, "Ain't no Santa Claus. I'm Santa Claus." You know, just gonna keep it real with you. But
Right.
you know, when we talk about our beliefs, you know, a relationship with God is the thing, and knowing God. You don't
Mhm.
have to go to the priest or nobody else, nobody to intercede. I can connect with God myself.
Right.
I mean, we used to have to call way before our time, you was now in both. Uh, we'd have to call the operator to connect us with a person. Then we got, then we could just call them ourselves. I mean, God works on the same principle. I don't need to go through somebody else to connect me with God or something like somebody come and tell me, well, God told me such and such. You know, we have to. This all goes back to our beliefs and just being able to think critically and to have a relationship with God. You know, I never forget. I was playing for a church and a lady had stood me up and she was reading me,
Mm.
and I just stopped her. I said, "Excuse me, evangelist, prophetess, lady, whoever you are." I said, "You don't know me." I said, "Excuse me." I said, "You saying some real good stuff there, but you don't know me." So first of all, and then I went to the assistant pastor of the church. I said, "Hey, if I got a message from God, or if I got a message for you from
Mhm.
God, guess what
Mhm.
I'm gonna do? I'm gonna come to you, Raquel, and say, hey, such and such and such and such, such and such. Bam. And after that, guess what? I done forgot it.
Mhm.
So what I'm saying is, see, some people do these kind of things in front of other people to make themselves look good, or
Right.
or exalt themselves with. See, these are the ones that I'm fearful of because a lot of people are, and once again, is that word, we're entertained by it. It's
Right.
all entertainment, baby. It's all entertainment.
But you do believe in though do you believe those gifts are a thing?
Oh yeah, no
Okay.
doubt.
It's
But
just the intent and the way
it's
that
the
it's
intent,
done.
exactly.
Okay.
It's the intent and the way that you use them. You
Right.
know, you can be saying all the right good stuff to me.
Right.
But you gotta understand too. If there's a message that God has for you, and God is using me to give you that message, that ain't nobody else's business. Matter of
Right.
fact, it ain't even my business. So I'm gonna come to you with it, drop it like it's hot. I'm done.
Right.
I really don't want it in my head. I don't want to
Yeah.
be thinking about it no more, cause it ain't my business. You know, and see that's the thing. Like I said, we're saturated with wanting to know. We got a term now. We want to know what's tea. You know, we want to know what's tea about everything. See, we too full of tea out here. You
Yeah.
know, I
And it's
I, I,
burning us up.
I don't want to hear no tea. I don't want to hear nobody's tea. I got enough tea of my own to drink. You know, so this is what happens. We want to know what's going on over here. You know, and I'm not even dealing with over here. You know,
Right.
so this is the world we live in, and then we want someone to tell us what to think and how and when to do what it is. We do and when we do it. And once again, we go back to that industry.
Mhm.
See, the industry does not need you to be so critically thinking. See,
Nope.
I'm not somebody that the industry can use. You know, I'm just not. I've never been that type of person. I could have been famous 10 times over in my lifetime. I turned
Yeah.
60. I turned 60 years old this year. You know, I used to look back on regret with, thinking of what I could have did, this, that, or the other. I should be famous. I should be doing true.
Mhm.
And, but you know what? That doesn't make me less relevant at all.
Mm-mm.
And the gift I have to share with the world is still the same gift. You know,
Yep.
you know,
It's
and
actually more sacred because it's
yeah,
not perverted and prostituted.
because I can take it to you, I can take it to people, and I can share it with people. And that can really appreciate it. And like you were saying, we can stream and we can see how many likes we're gonna get. I don't need likes. I don't need everybody liking me. You know,
Right.
I'm just personally not interested in it. You know, uh, maybe I should utilize this thing more to that extent. But yeah, that's just how ingrained with old school philosophy I am. And I ain't gonna apologize for it. You know, I do porch concerts at my house throughout the summer. People know about it. They come. I was gonna do it online, but I'm like, no. My wife and I, we talked about it. I'm like, no, I'll keep it in person.
Mhm.
I'll keep it in person. Because this is what we're being challenged with right now. We're being challenged and faced with the outcome of our humanity on a
Mhm.
global scale right now. This pandemic, or as I call it sometimes, this damn panic, is not a joke. This is something that is in place to do a few things. There's a few agendas involved here, you know, and I'm not going to get into that.
Mhm.
But we are faced with now, how human do we want to be, and how connected do we want to stay? It's
Mhm.
nothing, and it's nothing to fight, because the world is changing all the time. Like I say, uh,
Mhm.
with, with robotics, automation, we want to shoot rocket ships, into space to do what? To colonize other worlds, you know, to take
Mhm.
over, to go and try to take over somebody else's stuff. See, this man thinks he's just gonna go somewhere else and do what he did here with the Native Americans and the rest of the world.
Mhm.
And I think you're gonna be surprised, you
Yeah,
know.
I think so too.
But
With a
that's
good can of ass whooping. Mhm.
yeah. I mean, we and see, we what we have here is what we have to take care of here, you know.
Yes.
But hey, I don't know if we ever get the lesson, or we this all has to play out, you know, or we waiting for Jesus to come back, you know. But in the meantime, we got to do what we got to do, and see that thing about critical thinking and just the world of entertainment, whether it be the music, whether it be the news that we watch, any form of entertainment, sports, whatever, you know, we have to we have to think about what we're watching and what we're listening to, and what we're getting out of it, you know, uh, and understand how the world works in
Mhm.
terms of influencing us. I lost my pillow there. um, you know, it's interesting. Uh, I wouldn't call myself a Bible scholar, but I read the Bible. I know scripture. And, I come to the conclusion that you know how to get somebody to do something?
Tell them to do something the opposite.
There you go.
I think my problem with religion is, I mean, of course, everybody. I think it has its place, right? And I think for the people that really need to have a problem or difficulty with governing themselves accordingly, religion sweeps in and helps with that. But the problem I have with religion is because it more so focuses on an external solution. And what it does is it allows us to be complacent and dwell in ignorance because we're always putting the responsibility of our salvation and our problem solving on something else instead of looking at it that God is in you. He's a part of you. He doesn't go anywhere. Whether you acknowledge him or not, he's there. The
Mm-hmm.
solution, it is our work to do. It's not about an external thing. It's not about sitting around destroying the world and waiting on Jesus to come. No, you are here you have a mission to do. You have a job to do. And when we figure that out, we will be for the better. But that's why religion had its place, and that's why it was introduced to us. I mean, if you think about it, we had our own belief systems and practices and stuff before we got here. And then we were introduced with this different system that we have adopted. And how has it helped us? If anything, I mean, it may have kept us at bay. I mean, the fear came in, right? So the fear of hellfire and stuff like that might have kept us a, at bay, which is totally ridiculous. But outside of that, it made us more judgmental. It just became a thing to, I'm better than you because I have Jesus and you don't, and all this kind. It began to rear its ugly head in other things instead of just realizing that God created you and He created you divinely and with purpose, and you are who you're supposed to be. And you have to understand that the actions that you choose to do directly affect you, and they do have a ripple effect now because we're interconnected. I know being in this body makes us feel individualized, but we're interconnected, and what we do affects others. How we move, I mean, just a simple hello can change someone's day, a smile. I've watched videos where people have spoken on how they had passed away and the different things on the other side they seen. Of course, they came back, but one of the things is, we believe that God judges us. Actually, you judge yourself. You go through a review of your life, and He's showing you where you have touched people. You know what I'm saying? And it just be little instances. So we have to be cognizant of that. But it's work we have to do, and we have to stop waiting on somebody else, the government, God, whatever. Because when you get put that responsibility on something else, you're diminishing yourself and you're doing yourself a disservice. And sometimes you even invite stuff in that you don't even want to because you're expecting something else. You know what I'm saying? So even when you had your interaction with God, that occurred because again, your heart was screaming out. That emotion was intense, and that's a lot of times when we reach God, and He is talking to us as well. And you were taking ownership of what was going on with you, and then you offered up a solution, and it worked, but you had ownership in it. We have to do our work, man. I think that's really important. And so before I let you go, I do want to ask, where do you see the world going? What would you like to see? Where would you like to see the world go, and where do you see it going?
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, the world as it is now, with all the turmoil that we see, there's um, there's also good news, and we
Mhm.
see a lot of. I see a lot of stories. For instance, I was looking at this news report where they had, oh man, about 5 6 weeks ago. I think it's somewhere in North Carolina where there was an incident at a school, a high school, where there were a group of kids and they just got into a big brawl. Well,
Mhm.
anyway, some fathers had gotten together and come to the school, and they decided, well, we're going to place security in these halls.
Mm. That's real.
And so I saw this, and I'm like, oh yeah, see, this is the kind of thing that we need to see on the news every day. And
Mhm.
now it was 4 or 5 of these fathers, they got together and brought in a bunch of more fathers. So now they work in shifts, and the kids all respect them, and they joking and interacting with the kids, and they making sure the kids are getting to class, and ain't no stuff going on, in these schools. And they're even branching out and creating more chapters across the nation. See, these are the kind of things, it's like what you're doing now.
Mhm.
See, it's stories like this that I'd like to see like some follow up on, because we know it's gonna fall off the radar as soon as the news gets done with it, reported a couple of times. But we're gonna see all this other nonsense every day that
Mhm.
keeps us, you know, in knots. So when you ask me where's the world going,
Mhm.
we just all have a choice to make, which way we want it to go.
All
And
right.
now you're talking about what's a matter of choice. See, everybody talking about with the vaccine and all. Well, it's a matter of choice whether I want to take it or not. Yeah, well, this is what we're talking about. It's a matter of choice how we want to experience this life and where we put our focus at. You
Mhm.
know, and it's more of a spiritual journey now than this stuff that we see going on around us. Because the stuff that's going on around us, I don't, I can't. attest to it stopping. I can't say that, yeah, this is going to cease.
Mhm.
In other words, it's just like, you might ask me the question, well, uh, how's relations between black and white America going to be? I mean, I would answer that by saying, hey, black folks, racism ain't going to never stop. And white folks, black folks going to always be here.
Mhm.
In other words, uh, there's got to be some kind of meeting where and once again, in your introduction, you said this, where the forces have to work together to create a balance.
Mhm.
A beautiful way you said it. I'd love to get a copy of that, whatever you were saying there. But that was beautiful. But this is what I'm saying. We're gonna have to find the balancing point. This is
Mhm.
what we're all challenged to do right now. We're looking at one side of things, like once again, we talk about everybody's getting this shot and another shot and a booster shot and a booster for the booster and another booster. Oh, but in the meantime, people are still getting sick and dying, even though they got the boosters and all this. But nobody's saying anything at all about taking care of your health.
Mhm.
Like for instance, like herbal medicines, things that work, with your immunity to keep you healthy. So this is what lets us know there's another agenda going on here,
Mhm.
you know. But we have to be critical thinkers, you know.
We do.
And man, we realize at the same time, the world we live in don't want us thinking critical.
No, it
You know,
doesn't.
powers
But
that
we
be
still have a
have no
decision.
use for us. You know,
Mhm.
so that's where the fight is. You know, That's what's gonna see. We're fighting a fight here now that has nothing to do with fists or guns or even words. You
Mhm.
know, you know, we're dealing with definitely the dealing with powers of spiritual light now. You know, and it's not even a fight. You know, I think about my struggle with addiction over the years, and people ask me. I have people that actually ask me, how I've overcome. I got a relative of mine that says to me, "You've been going to the meetings for so long. Ain't you done with that? Ain't you graduated from that by now?" You know, and I'm like, well, it doesn't necessarily work like that. And at the same time, it ain't nothing for me to try to push on nobody,
Right.
you know and it's not, for some it might be like a cult, but my thing is, I do what I do because I do this for myself, and for my own spiritual growth. But I'm kind of getting off the point of what I was getting ready to make there, when I was saying, the the balance is what we have to come to, and understanding why we're doing what we're doing, is important. Uh, so, I mean, that's the best answer I can give you for where this world is going. The world is going to do what the world's going to do. The scripture in the Bible that says the earth is the Lord's and the goodness thereof. Look that up.
Okay.
Very key word. It says the earth is the Lord's and the goodness thereof. It doesn't say the world.
Mhm.
Once again, we talk about how we use words is very significant.
It is.
We got to change a lot of vocabulary. You know, and for
Mhm.
for us, for people of color, for Black folk in particular, I say a lot of our vocabulary has to change.
Mhm.
You know,
And the United States is a very small speck when we're talking about the world. It has a very small speck of significance. I mean, we put big significance on it because we're here, but the world, we are not even. We don't even. If we fell off, the world would still be. You know what I'm saying? Like if we disappear, you're talking about a very vast. mechanism, So you're absolutely right. It is our choice. Even when we think it's not our choice, it is our choice. We're complicit in a lot of things. We let a lot of things slide because we are entertained. And it was a show or movie, I think it was called The Network. I think
Oh
it
yeah,
came out in the 70s.
yeah.
And he yelled, "Turn off your TV. You got to get mad. You got to get angry, and you got to turn off your TV." And that
Mm-hmm.
was prolific. Now the TV has turned into our cell phones, and we have gotten so far off the beaten trail. And we don't realize that we're complicit. We don't realize, again, like I was saying earlier, all the information we put on in this mechanism, and we are actually creating our own weapons, so to speak, that are drawn against us. So, and that's metaphorically,
Mm-hmm.
and in some ways, it's literal. But yeah. So we have to be mindful. I think moving forward, we have. I think the in as much as everything has a spiritual and a natural or tangible. I think things manifest in dual ways. So from the spiritual aspect, I think COVID has came in to bring attention to us, to bring to our attention what was really going on. We got a chance to unplug, stop working, slow down, really think and put things into perspective. Now the world has sped back up again, and we're still in chaos. Some things are changed, and some things will change for the better. Now, mind you, a lot of the chaos we do see is because programming. You're supposed to see it to make you think that the most of our nation is messed up. Our lives are messed up, and that's not the truth. You have the ability to create your reality, and one thing to get peace is to turn that damn phone off and unplug. That's one thing. You need some time to yourself to think because you can't think clearly. You got people even coming forward now with
Mm-hmm.
different videos saying you need to delete your social media accounts. It's ruining your life. So this is a real thing. This is a real thing and it's real serious. So how we want the world to go, we have to make some decisions and we have to be active in those decisions. We can't wait for others to do it for us. And, everyone is not going to be a
Sure.
Martin Luther King. It's various ways that you can change the world.
That's a changing the world. That's something that we all want to do. Now,
Mhm.
changing the world sounds
Or
good, but
contribute to the change, rather.
but the question is, how willing are we to change ourselves?
Right. Exactly. Because it starts with you. And that's what I'm saying. It's
Do
an
we all
individual decision.
change the world? So, when I see these success stories, and there was a gentleman, I'm watching this channel, uh, Black News Channel. There's a gentleman. He had spent some time in prison, and he's uh, he's doing this thing now with the children, where he's connecting with them, and he's like a Mister Rogers figure. That's what they call him, the Black Mister Rogers. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, just the positive things that he's doing. You know, uh, to bring hope to otherwise lies in despair. With the kids, and I mean, where we can find a place to provide service work that's going to be uplifting the people. You
Hmm.
know, that's what's important.
Yes.
Uh, um, like I say, we all, love to be entertained, and I guess that's why the entertainment's going to keep on, you know, being what it is. You know,
Right.
you know, whether you're Cardi B, Lil Nas X, Megan Thee Stallion, or you know, or whoever, these different entertainers that really bring us a lot of profound themes. You
Hmm.
know, um, I guess this is something that people crave to see.
Hmm.
And they want to see. But at the end of the day, it's about what are you doing to really serve humanity. You know,
Correct.
and I'm sure that these people, even the ones that I'm mentioning, are doing things behind the scenes that's serving humanity. I'm sure of that. I'm sure that they're all, very, humane people, and they do a lot of humane things. But do we see this stuff put on the news? You know, probably not. So we just have to dig deeper and find the beauty in all that's, in life, that's offered up for us. Because there's, there's a buffet and there's a banquet of BS out here, you know. But we really have to dig a little deeper sometime to find the jewels. And I love, like, we talk about social media. I
Mm-hmm.
love it. Like, I have a Facebook account, but it's once again, I ain't on there to find out what's tea. You know,
Right.
when I find some good words of wisdom or stories that I feel like this is worthwhile sharing, then there
Mm-hmm.
it is. You know, now once again, you get in that algorithmic thing, and I'm looking on here, and I'm seeing these videos of police beating, choking some black man out, or whatever, shooting. I'm like, okay, see, this is an algorithmic thing. This is something where, okay, I know this is placed here to get me triggered up, because that's what they're designed to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we get sucked into that vacuum. You know, so that's dealing with this world, and you think it's something now. Wait till once they turn over change over to this new platform. What's it called? Meta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't want no parts of that.
yeah. But
Yeah.
see, this is the thing. I mean, but it can all be used in a positive way. You know, you know. It's just and see, once again, taking some old school wisdom from the good book. Hey, no weapon formed against me shall prosper.
That's right.
And
That's right.
remember that. So we have to remember that. And, you know, people, everybody's up in arms about arms. Carrying guns and all that and so forth. And hey, I mean, you got to be even more protected than a gun will protect you. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I mean, your mindset has to be in a place where you're always thinking about having to use this weapon. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's, to me, that just robs them of their peace of mind. You know, protection, true, but you definitely, you have to, your mind has to be in a place where you can use this thing in a way that's um, only when you need it, when you
Mm-hmm.
really need it. It's not like, like what we see going on in the schools now with these shootings and things.
Mm-hmm.
I told my mother this years ago. The first time we watched the what's high school was that uh you remember it, Columbine,
Mm-hmm.
when that first happened. I told my mother then, I said, Mom, this is really what we're looking at right now is something that's going to be a trend for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still, and we have to look at what this is saying. In other words, this is the answer to uh, me wanting to give my kids a certain privilege and not having them to be intermingled with those other folks. And this is their answer to that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's not something that happens necessarily in our communities. In our urban schools. Uh, Even though they're putting out these threats. Now, there's a few schools like here in the city that the kids are posting threats. But I think they're doing it for different reasons. They just want time off from school, so they just,
Right.
but they don't realize the kind of trouble they're getting into. But these other things, these are deep, and these are problems that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why when we get back in these things about like critical race theory and all of that, you know, I think we just teaching our kids, not just teaching them, but allowing them to think.
Mm-hmm.
You know, allowing them to have their own mind. They know what to think. They know the deal. Your children know what the deal is already.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't got much teaching now. All you got to do is kind of you got to point them in. There you go, baby. It's over here. There it is. You know, they already know what's up. So spiritually they're connected. But you as a parent just giving them a platform or a foundation
Mm-hmm.
to be able to utilize their mind, and be spiritually connected.
Right, right, right.
Hmm.
Well, this has been an amazing interview. I
Yes,
think,
it has. I tell you, Racqi, I just am just so over the moon that you connected with me, man, and it's just so good to see you again. You
oh,
know,
yeah.
after all this time, you know, and I'm really proud of you and what you're doing. You
Oh,
know,
thank you so much.
you've grown up to be an amazing woman. You got a beautiful family, and
Thank you.
forward to meeting them sometime, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. We're going to arrange that. I thank you for
Yeah,
taking time out and talking with me today.
no doubt.
And probably we will probably do another interview.
I
you
look
know.
forward to it. I look
Yeah.
forward to talk about other stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Most definitely. I got some other things in mind of just, getting this off the ground, but I've got some other stuff too coming, y'all. Y'all, if you follow me, I'm always gonna have
Buckle
something
up.
else. So,
Buckle up. Buckle
yeah,
up, Buttercup.
buckle up. All right, Mr. Willis, I
Definitely have
will see
support,
you
huh?
soon. Thank you so much, and you have
You
a
again.
wonderful day.
And you do the same, love.
All right, bye
All
bye.